Alrighty, here we go, trying to do another set of notes, classifying systems. Here I want you to determine the number of solutions of a system, and I want you to understand the terminology. What does that mean? That means I want you to understand the vocabulary. Okay, so how do we classify? Well, there's two types of systems, consistent and inconsistent. And then within consistent, there's dependent, independent. So really there's three types, I guess you could say. Anyways, what that really means is a consistent dependent system is infinite solutions. That's why I put the infinity symbol. A consistent independent has just one solution. Okay, that's what we normally get. When you get an answer, that's a consistent independent, like when you get that XY point. An inconsistent is one that has no solutions. So how do I tell these apart? Well, I'm just going to give you this so you can kind of see these, and there's nothing really to show. But an inconsistent system, one with no solutions, is when you see a graph, it would have parallel lines, which means they would not intersect. When you look at an equation, it would tell you, like the variables would cancel out, but not the answers. Or as we saw today, if you look at a matrix, and if you have, like on the bottom row, 0, 0, 1, that would be considered an inconsistent system. So what about a consistent dependent? Well, if you look at the graph, you'd only see one graph, which means one's on top of the other. That's why it's infinite solutions, because basically it's one on top of another. So sort of like, I was doing so good until that fell over. Okay, but sort of something like that, where you see two lines, basically it's two lines, one on top of the other. Okay, and then an inconsistent system, a consistent dependent, the equations would actually, everything would cancel out. The x's would cancel out, the y's would cancel out, the answers would even cancel out. Everything cancels out. On a matrix, the bottom row would be all zeros. And so that would tell you from the matrix. So a consistent dependent, let's try that again. A consistent independent would be where you see the graph and again give you an intersection point and it tells you that there's some answer, that's fine. If you see an equation, basically once you start solving it and you realize that you got rid of, like say, x's, but you didn't get rid of the y's, or you got rid of the y's but didn't get rid of the x's, okay, and they're going to give you one answer. That's a consistent independent. These are all the ones that give you one answer. And in a matrix, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, with some numbers here in the last column, would be the answer. Like that would be 1, 2, and those last two numbers would be your answer. So essentially, this is all that we need to do for this stuff, and kind of go from there. Now, hopefully you remembered and took down all the notes for the graphing and for the matrices so that you can still remember how to do those. But I will go over here and kind of remind you, especially for the matrix. Remember, Control G for the graphs, to pull up graphs, and generally we do menu 6, 4 to get that going, and you would have to do the left bound and right bound. And then you always do Control G to retype in the equations. Or, let's get over here, to do a matrix, menu 7, 5, that gets you the reduced row echelon form. Choose the button next to the 9. So the 9's here, this button that's right next to the 9, and in that menu, in that second row, in the middle, should be an answer or choice that looks like that. That's what you would choose, and you're choosing a 2 by 3 matrix, at least for now. Later on, we might go to a 3 by 4. Either way, once you have it here, you can type in the numbers, press enter, and if you see, again, 1, 0, 0, 1, then those are your answers there. If you see 1, 0, 0, 1, or 1 or 0, 0, 0, those are different types of answers. Now, keep in mind, always check your work to make sure you typed in the right signs and kind of go from there and do that. Anyways, that's it for today. Hopefully this helps y'all through the assignment that I have y'all working on and answers maybe hopefully several questions that you may have about this. Thank you so much for your time. Y'all been a great class. Thank y'all so much. Y'all take care.